What's up, everybody? Welcome to 2024 and the first edition of Fourth and Go with myself, Dave Gluckner, and Mark Tomasini, as we bring you the voice of the Philly fan. And boy, am I ready to talk to Mark. We had a quick conversation before the show started, but I don't know which way he's going. He doesn't know which way I'm going. And we're just going to let it rip tonight and have some fun. So welcome to the show. We are Philly 4 for 4, plus so much more, part of the Heat Ratio Sports Network. As we grow in 24, we're going to need to grow a little bit too, Mark, because my heart has shrunk over the holidays, not for the fact of love or family, but this football team is killing me. So let me welcome you in. How you doing, bud?
What up? What up? Yes, happy 2024 to everybody. Happy New Year, Dave. It's New Year's not off to the great start that we wanted and hoped for. And obviously you and I both got the memo of, wearing the Sixers garb because really that's kind of where we're at right now. It's tough sledding. The Eagles have really let us down. It's been really disappointed probably since the last time we talked. Might have been after Buffalo.
It was.
And I think we both were there and
had a blast. It was like a high of highs.
How fun the team was. Winning in overtime the way that they did, all just to now be, and here's the thing. I actually thought about this. If the Eagles were to win, I called 12-5. I called the Jets loss. Like things that I was okay with at the beginning of the season now are looking horrible prediction wise. Like I can't really take that and be like, yeah, because I didn't have them streaking, losing 4 of 5, especially to the Drew Lock led Seattle Seahawks and the, Jonathan Gannon Arizona Cardinals. So to tell you how I'm feeling right now about this, not too optimistic. I'm hoping for better things in this actual new year now that we're here.
Yeah, you're right. We could not have seen it unravel this fast, this bad. I mean, there were obviously some signs that the team wasn't playing up to their potential, and the 10-1 was a little bit loose, and I can agree with that, and I think we all did. But where we saw it, and I remember talking going into the Niners game, is this team hasn't played their best. They're going to get better. Right. And instead, they've done the exact opposite. They've got worse. And it's a really scary thing when you peel back and look at it. The last 4 drives Arizona had were all touchdowns. They scored 4 points to beat us, right? It was just an absolute abysmal performance. One of the worst games I've seen in my life. Knowing when we went for it, got the onside kick and had the horrific 3 plays in a row. And then now they're trying to describe how they were, scripted and trying to get people off guard. It just, the excuses are terrible. We were playing for a field goal. I saw Seattle coming all over again, replaying itself. Arizona getting the ball with 2 minutes left and shredding us down the field. We wasted a timeout, by the way, in one of those awful play calls that we could have used at the end, but to no avail. And here we are with one of the most embarrassing, the most embarrassing loss I've probably ever seen.
I feel like you've said it, if not once, maybe twice this year, worst games you've seen.
Yep.
I feel like I've heard you say that. I know you did it at least once.
Yeah.
But I think you now are at twice this year.
Yeah, well, that's it.
One of the worst regular season games that you've ever seen.
Yeah, I think the Jets. It might have been Jets, but yeah.
Right. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that they were able to go back this much. And it's just like, you can look at each game and find excuses. Like San Francisco, they were on a hot streak. They were playing great football at the right. They had
10 days rest. 10 days rest. They had this
10 days rest. Same for the Cowboys, both of them. And the Eagles, the 49ers game, the moment where everything changed is the fact that they had 2 field goals when they should have been up 14-0 and they were only up 6-0. That was the moment where I said, and I said it out loud to Allie. I said, because her and I were sitting here watching it, and I said, they should have scored 2 touchdowns, and the fact that they came away with 2 field goals, this is going to come back to bite us. And it did, because that was the most offense they really had that day. And that was the most offense they've had really since the Christmas game, and that doesn't even really count. Like you look at it, So you go San Francisco 10 days rest, Cowboys 10 days rest, Seattle Monday night, traveling out west, Hurts sick,
Getting sick. Yep.
right? And then Giants. Then you can look at the Giants and say that was too close of a call.
Well, that's what I knew. I knew with the Giants. I knew we stunk. Like that game.
And we caused 14 of those points for them.
Mm-hmm.
The kickoff return thing, fumble,
and the pick six.
Dallas Goedert falling down. Those two things.
Yep.
So you're like, but okay, they won that game. There's no way they can go and lose at home to the Cardinals. There's no way.
No way.
Especially being up 21-6 going into halftime.
Yeah.
There's no way. But this team is just completely lost. They've lost the will to play. They've lost the will to be there for each other. I mean, they just are lost. And you think about it. I mean, they were 21-6. That's Sidney Brown, give me touchdown.
Yep.
I mean, this game it's almost like a 10-point loss if that doesn't happen.
Mark, I think they had 1 or 2 third downs the entire second half.
Yeah.
And the 1 4th down they converted for a touchdown. I mean, I think he threw 1 incompletion, maybe 2, Kyler Murray. Like it was I can't even put in the words 29 points or whatever. No, 28.
Yeah. I think it was 29 in the second half because they only scored 6.
Yeah, 35. You're right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They went for 2 to tie it. Yep. That's yep. I can't even put in, like, you couldn't even, in my opinion, go to other teams' practice squads right now,
right,
and let up 28 that easy to the Arizona freaking Cardinals. Like the players that are out there simply can't play. I have some hope for Sidney Brown, but he's just absolutely all over the place and not even, like, you can't even put him in a position right now because he's so undisciplined.
I think he's playing.
Reed Blankenship stinks, flat out stinks, and I'm sure there's people out there that want to try and vouch for him. He can't tackle, and then he can't stay with anybody. He'll make 1 or 2 plays, and you're like, that no, he stinks. Every linebacker. I mean, Shaq Leonard, he's washed up, but he looks the best out of all of them.
Right.
And then I'll give Ringo a little bit, right? But Avonte Maddox came back and looked horrible. Like, who are we evaluating talent? This and the front 7 or front 4, we'll even just say that.
Yeah.
Who made a play? The only one I can remember is Brandon Graham came down the line and stopped the run once. Who else? Who else?
Nobody.
Sweat had a chance to make an impactful play, missed the little midget. I don't even know what to, like, even the guys that are getting paid aren't making the plays.
No, and they just look so unenthralled. They just don't look like they want to be there. And that, to me, that's the want to. It's not talent, because I know the defense stinks, but our front 4 at least have been able to get to the quarterback for the past couple of years now, and they can't tackle a lick. I mean, 200+ rushing yards to the Cardinals. Look, don't get me wrong. Excuse me. James Conner's always been a decent back.
He's good.
He's high fantasy value. But I mean, he torched us.
That's effort. It's all effort.
It's all effort. And for whatever reason, and they had AJ Brown spoke and everything like that, but something has gone awry in that locker room. Is it Nick? I don't know. Maybe we'll get into it, but is it Nick? Is it, AJ kind of came out and defended Nick and all this kind of stuff, but something's off, like, big time. Is it Jalen? Is it Nick? I don't know. Like, it's hard to, like, some days you think you have an idea that they're losing the voice, but then you got AJ coming in. I don't know. Everything. It's really weird to start off the way that they did, coming off the year that they did. Jalen, keep the main thing. The main thing hurts is now nowhere to be found, really. Like, he's not really saying anything, and I get it. He is the keep the main thing type of guy, but, like, he's not offering anything to anybody. Like, it's so weird. The psychology of it is out of this world. Now, that doesn't.
I'll say this much with Hurts. I think we got to be a little careful with that point, just from the sense of, we love that he's so cool when we're winning and doesn't talk much, and then when we're losing, I'm okay with him not being. That's just his leadership style. But I do have concerns with his play. I'm with you there. That I'm just not sure exactly
No, of course, and I get that. You can't have it both ways. You can't have him be cool, so cool when they're winning and light of fires out there. But I mean, nobody's really talking about him. Like, yes, they are, and no, they aren't at the same time. All the focus is on AJ Brown for not talking. All the focus is on Devontae Smith getting hurt. All the focus is on Nick Sirianni. Has he lost the locker room? Brian Johnson, he can't. There's really not as much on the quarterback. And the quarterback hasn't been terrible, but he also hasn't really been doing anything either. Is this one of those things where a lot of people have speculated maybe Jalen's more hurt than he wants to let on and he's trying to play tough guy and play through it? Is that part of it? I really think there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving pieces here in this situation that just make this so weird and unfathomable that we're even in this position, because
it does.
We shouldn't be. Like, you have to win. You win Seattle and Arizona, you're comfortably the number 1 seed. It's not even close. And like both games that should have been won.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. So, Cease, thanks for checking in. Saw you last night. Appreciate it as always, my man. Always dropping in, always giving us a good point. And this is one I wanted to get into. And listen, you can put all 3 on the hot seat. You can. But the hottest of hot seats is Brian Johnson. I think Sirianni's kind of bought himself a little bit of leash here. Just being in the playoffs 3 straight years, I don't think, whatever happens this year, I don't think you ultimately just axe Sirianni. But Brian Johnson, no doubt about it. And his press conference the other day didn't help things at all. 2nd and 16, we were going to try and catch him off guard running a QB sneak. The whole Arizona team ran to that side of the field where Hurts was running his play to. You can't catch anybody off guard when you already ran 18 quarterback sneaks the past 2 weeks. Like, stop. And then you got Devontae Hurt running a 3rd and 20 to Gainwell.
Yeah.
Gainwell. And you're blocking with your skinniest guy. And does anybody point that out? So for me, Brian Johnson should have been gone. The reason he is still here is a little bit of Jalen Hurts. And this is where I wanted to get to you, Mark. I think really the root of the offense right now is Johnson, from the standpoint of there is zero creativity. Teams, like we noticed, McCaffrey's calling out the plays.
Well, I was going to make that point.
Other people, they just Buda Baker ran to the line of scrimmage, right to the left side, popped through and knocked him for a 4-yard loss. They all know it's coming. This offense is so dull, boring, and it's amazing we can still score points. And why we can is because we got skilled players. So, Cease, to answer your question, in short, I think Brian Johnson is on the hottest of hot seats. But don't get me wrong, Sirianni's got a little bit of answering to do. How about you, Mark?
Yeah, so if you want me to rank those, I think Desai is least in the hot seat right now. Now, obviously, if the coach were to go, the coordinators follow suit. They're axed too. But like in regard, I think Desai is kind of handcuffed. The defensive players, we kind of overlooked what we lost last year, and we really didn't replace. I mean, like, to me, last year, if we let Slay walk, I wouldn't have cried. I wouldn't have been upset if we let Slay walk last year. If Bradbury went and got a deal somewhere else, I wouldn't have been upset. Like, I knew that. They're aging cornerbacks. But in the moment, I'll be honest, I was glad that we had them, because I was like, okay, we have continuity back there. There's no way they both lose a step at the same time. Yet they did. Here we are. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Really, he could have been here if he didn't run his mouth out of this town. That's what he did. You look at it. And then, you kind of overlook. Marcus Epps was overlooked because he was a competent safety. He was competent. It was just enough. Just enough. And then really the biggest loss was TJ Edwards, because he was actually a complete linebacker with a homegrown. You lost that. So once all of that was gone, you've lost everything on the defensive side. So Desai, I think, has done the least to be demonstrative to this team. Brian Johnson or Nick Sirianni's in second, because Nick Sirianni has always just been the coach. He's always been the overseer, the CEO of the team. He's been the one who's been, the energy guy. Now, I think he got a little ahead of himself in Kansas City, and I think that brought them to where they are. Like, I think he ran his mouth. He got too cocky, and I think it's biting him in the ass big time right now. And I think that, he is part of the reason why the offense is the way it is. Not to his fault, but this is what I'm a little surprised about. Shane Steichen was the reason why the offense was so good. And obviously, like, when he left, we were like, okay. I honestly thought that, like, Brian Johnson was going to get the keys to the car from Steichen, and he was going to work off of what Steichen left behind. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. That didn't happen. This is his vanilla. This is vanilla bean. This is Breyer's ice cream. There's no toppings, no sugar. It's like that no sugar ice cream. That's how vanilla this offense is. Shane Steichen was the reason why this offense went, and we're seeing it. And and what you alluded to, the fact that Jalen Hurts is the only reason why he's still around. Like, the only way that you can keep Jalen Hurts happy and keep Brian Johnson around is if you bring in a real offensive coordinator and promote him back to quarterback coach. That's the only way that you can keep them happy. But I don't think it happens. I think he's got to be out of here because there's no creativity, like you said, whatsoever. It's so predictable. You have so many weapons. They're so much more talented than they are. Now, a part of it is the defense being so bad makes them they can't run the ball to ice out the game. They can't do any of that. But still, this offense is so much better than it's been. It's so much.
And so then I'm going to lead to my fourth victim here, the one that I actually think he's not on the hot seat, but the one I think is to blame the most for all this, and that's Howie Roseman. And this is Howie's sitting on the throne and telling people how to run the team, dictating who comes in as coordinator. There's a lot of talks out there. The Eagles had some good talent available at coordinator and didn't jump on it. Now, I think the Fangio thing was, they're going to use that as their excuse now, but I'm sure they could have smelled the wins of Gannon.
He helped them last year. How did they not say you're the guy?
Yeah, and they knew, like, you can
unless
say
they penny pinched him.
Well, no, they were saying that they thought Gannon was returning, and that's horseshit in my opinion. You got to have. He's supposedly Nick Sirianni's best friend. He's not.
We all knew that he was going to get a head coaching job.
Yeah. He almost got one the year before. Remember, and we were like, "Why this guy?"
Right.
Right. Yeah. So listen, I think they messed up there. I think in the big thing, Howie's just completely mangled the linebacker situation for way too long. Mm-hmm. And you hit it on the head with TJ Edwards. We didn't know what we had. We knew he was solid. We knew he was good.
Undrafted free agent.
Yeah, but we were just like, okay, TJ can go. We can't afford him. We'll instead, we got Nakobe Dean. We got this other guy. Kazir White, losing him. He looks like a Pro Bowler compared to the shit that we have. And then they're just plucking guys off the waiver wire in preseason, and they get Miles Jack, let him go, and then I see him run around for Pittsburgh making sack after. I think it's Miles Jack playing for Pittsburgh.
It's Miles Jack. Yeah. Miles Jack was originally with Pittsburgh. Like, he was in Tennessee.
He was Jacksonville first, but I'm just saying this year
and he, for some reason, he was like, I'm leaving trade school to play for the Eagles. You know what? Never mind. I'm going to retire. And then a couple of weeks later, I'm going to join the Steelers again.
Yeah, and
why did he leave? Why did he leave here?
But even then, why are we relying on old, washed up?
Right.
Like, it's just
right.
And I mean, say what you want about the Byard trade. I think the Eagles did fine. He's not that good. And then obviously Shaq Leonard is just a cry for help. And that's why the story or the tagline at the bottom is the cry for help, because that's what Howie's been doing. He's just been plucking them off, thinking he's the magician and can just wave a wand and fix it. And you know what? You got to populate this team with talent and stop playing around. Stop playing around and just saying, I can win with a defensive 4 and some good cornerbacks. Because guess what? Those good cornerbacks suck this year. You can't do anything when you don't create pressure. And that's what you can't do this year. Hey, Derek Barnett, nice to see you. What he's got? 2.5 sacks in the past 2 weeks. Third most pressures in the NFL over a 3-week span. Nice. But we couldn't.
So I was hearing this argument on local radio today. people are boo-hooing about Derek Barnett being gone. Now, it's true he's doing good things in Houston. But the only thing is here, and he did need a change of scenery. All he was doing when he was here was personal foul penalties.
Yes, I get it.
And it wasn't even like he was getting sack pressure on the quarterback. He literally is shoving a lineman after the play. He's clipping somebody at their knees. Like, he was not doing the right things. I get what you're saying. Like, of course, it's a tale of Philly.
Yeah, that's all it means. Yep.
Hockey, we see these players stink it up here, go somewhere else, and play magnificent. But it is, he did this to himself because he had the talent. He broke Reggie White's record at Tennessee. So it's not like there wasn't talent there. It's all up in here, but he needed a change. Now, I do think that's somewhat indicative on our staff. Why can't we get the most out of him when we're struggling with guys and the amount of guys that we have? I get that part of it, but I also think that all he did anytime he was on the field for us, nothing positive. The last positive thing was picking up that fumble in the Super Bowl. 2018. That was the last positive thing he did as a member of the Eagles.
I'm with you.
23.
So we've got our frustrations out a little bit. Cease to answer your question. Yeah. Patricia's, here's the thing though, but Patricia's had no slay the whole time.
I don't think you can really.
Yeah.
I think they're in the same boat. They're in the same boat right now.
My problem is if he's the one calling Hassan Reddick to drop back 7 times in pass, then I might have to say he's worse. But right now,
that is true.
It's like I can't even put a comparison out there. But they're bad and badder. Like, you're not stopping anything with either of them. Patricia at least had some pedigree. Decide didn't, so I was okay there. But it's not good either way. And then we'll get into your other question in a few minutes here. But just to round out the frustrations, I'll go back to the other side of the ball, and what we were saying with Brian Johnson is true. But here's my point with Hurts, and I looked at his numbers. They're all down this year. If anything, the interceptions are higher. The completion percentage is a tad down. Only thing that's up a little bit is the touchdowns, but that's just playing more games. For me, the eye test is what tells me it all. He's just not sure back there. And I don't know if that's coming from a sense of A.J. Brown's in his ear or this or that. But, I watch and I'm showing my kids, when a guy gets pressure, stepping up in the pocket is one of the best things he can do, and then find his ways to wiggle out of it or get the pass off. Not what hurts. First sign of pressure, it's back, out, and right.
Right.
And it's just, and you cut the field in half. You also take the back third away because you can't throw it that far going backwards. It's just those kinds of things this year just seem to be really playing themselves out. And obviously the deep ball, his propensity for the deep ball and not taking the free underneath routes are really troubling. So I do think there is regression with Hurts. Do I still believe in him? Absolutely. But he needs to get it figured out quick.
Yeah. These are the things that you and I were both fearful like 2 years ago. But he did enough last year to make me feel like there's more in the tank. I know there's better performances from him. I think he's got the head on him. Like, people are starting all of a sudden, the real shock jock rate, like not even just radio people ever. Oh, he's Carson Wentz all over again. No, this is not that. Carson Wentz didn't want to be a backup to anybody. He didn't want to listen to his coaches. But I think Jalen, I feel, I don't know if it came with the contract. Seems like he's a little stubborn. Seems like he's sticking to, I feel like he's sticking to, I need to do things. I think maybe part of him feels he needs to be a little more gaudy in his passing stats. I think he's going for the big play, like you said, and foregoing the, underneath routes that could get him the same amount of yards that the deep pass could go. Like they talk about the, I I think it was in Seattle. He went to AJ, not the interception. He went to the left and he went to AJ. AJ was the first read. And both of them have said it. AJ's the first read. But you got Devontae doing a pattern wide open about, I would say, 8 to 12 yards down the field with nobody in sight.
Yeah.
You dump the ball to him. You take that extra half a second and just say, wait a minute, I got Devontae here. He's going to get me 22 yards on this right here, where I'm trying to get to AJ 30 yards down the field in coverage.
But Mark, I don't even think he sees Devontae.
He might not. I think
there's no excuse to not.
This is what we're worried about.
Yeah.
Is he goes to his first read, and I'm just going to go there. He's like first read or run. That's what we had our issues with when he was first quarterbacking this team. First read, if it's not there, I'm going to take off.
Yeah, and I highlighted a play against the Giants. Gainwell runs out of the backfield wide open, probably the whole half of the field wide open. Never even looked that way. Never even read the defense ahead of time to know that it was man and to look that way. Forced one in to Goddard, it got incomplete. And it's a lot of first read and go. And but it's not even like we don't even put motion in play to help him out even a little bit. So listen, it's not. This isn't. This is 11. This downward spiral is not even 20% on Hurts. Like I'm not even there.
Everyone's got their hands in it. But like you say, like you look at the San Franciscos and the Miamis, who are two of the elite offenses in the league. Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, they're running here. They're running here. They like whoever's covering them is never flat-footed. Yeah, because they don't allow you to. We're going to run up in the backfield. We're going to come up this way. We're going to run across the line. We're going to get the pitch. We're going to run behind the quarterback. We're going to do all these different things. There's none of that going on whatsoever. And the defense is like, all right. Oh, you're going to throw it there? Up, we're already going to see it, and we're going to get there.
Yeah, the most creative play we have is when we do something different out of the tush push. That's it. That's the only creativity I receive.
Tush push. Oh, we're going to flip it back. And
that's the only creativity I see. And we saw Gainwell actually throw a ball on that this week. And so all right, I think we've done our bitch fest, and that's good because we need to. But now we just got to look forward here.
27 minutes of awfulness.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's comforting to know that we're out here feeling the same things.
We're not alone. We're not.
We are not alone. I think we all feel that way. In fact, everyone I talk to is pretty much done. Now, I'll just shed at least a ray of light, not a full sunshine beam, but a small ray coming off that sun. And that was, I saw a stat out there that the Baltimore Ravens did this very similar downward spiral when it came to their Super Bowl season a few years back, losing 4 out of 5, and their one win was like OT win. So teams, and I even think, I want to say Tampa was a little bit on the downward, but there's some teams that weren't doing as well.
Wait, say that again. Are you talking about the year that we won the Super Bowl?
No, when Baltimore won. They had a very similar lose 4 out of 5 to end the season, had to go to a wild card game and got their crap corrected quick, and then went on to win the Super Bowl. Some teams have had these negative performances late in the season being able to turn it on. The only way, and this is my red light, that I could see the Eagles doing that per se is if they get key pieces healthy. That's going to be, obviously Slay Day. They're going to need back in there. Maddox, you saw come back in last week. As good as he was, need him back in there. Where maybe it's Russ. We get it. Linebacking. You're going to need those guys back. I know Morrow came back the other day. He's not great, but
Cunningham might be back.
Yeah, and there was even talks Dean could find his way back.
Yeah. Dean really hasn't given you much.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't. But there's just some pieces that's the only way. That's the only way I can really see things being able to be turned around. Other than that, if they're going to roll out 80% of what's on the field now, 90%, it's not going to be good when it comes to the playoffs.
Again, I keep saying there's too much talent to be as bad as they are.
Yeah.
They won 10 games, and they really should have been 11-0 at that point when they started losing to San Francisco. Should have been 11-0 because that Jets game was a travesty. And They're way too talented to be where they are right now. I think there is the possibility of that. Not only just that they're healthy, which obviously will be a key thing. I mean, the fact that Devontae has a chance to play on Sunday is nuts, even though I don't think he should play, especially with the field that is,
Yeah.
it's an awful, awful, awful place to play. And the owners need to step in and just say, you guys got to change out that field because I mean, Aaron Rodgers should be playing quarterback right now for the Jets, but that's another story. With that being said, I think that there is this small possibility, and I would put it a 25% chance that the Eagles could turn it on. They get this matchup against Tampa Bay, right? They probably don't win the NFC East because the Cowboys probably beat the Commanders. Doesn't matter what we do. If the Eagles realize they're not going to win, they're going to bench their guys in the third quarter. I really think that a good win against Tampa, it's not going to be great, but a good win, 7 points or more against Tampa Bay, in Tampa Bay, and they start gelling and they're feeling themselves. They're using DeAndre Swift in the right way. I think there is a chance they could make it to the NFC Championship game, and then all bets are off. I think if they can do that, I think the season is still salvageable, but I put that at 25% just because what it's been lately has just been so bad. But there's still a piece of me that's optimistic. But I'll tell you what, it's turned into apathy. I've seen this story too many times before. And after last year, like we look at it, last year was the year to win. And last year was the year they could have won. And that would have changed the way that everything was. And I just think that, they still have a window, even if things don't pan out well this year. They still have a window, but it's very, very small. And I really think they have like 2 years left of being significant players. And then and then after that, it's over.
Yeah. So
rebuilding.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I'm looking at this season alone. And my thought is I think they need to play. I get you on the field. I'm with you.
No, but they need to play.
They need to play, and they need to
for the rest.
They need to, but they just need to play good. They need to shake this shit out and figure out ways to make impactful plays on defense and offense, and they need to feel good about themselves. So if Devontae is somewhat healthy, I do suit him up for a little bit. I try and feel it out. I try and see where we can maybe get a little bit of a lead and peel it back.
He's just the only one that I would be skeptical about. Everybody else, if you're half healthy, you're playing.
Yep, you have to go. Do they get the win on Sunday is what Adam is asking. And at this point in time, they really haven't given me much solace or confidence to say they will. Tyrod Taylor looks, way better than Tommy Cutlets did. Yeah, that was a joke. But, he had his 5 seconds of fame. That's fine. And I am nervous about this game. I do. Dable coached them up last year in Week 18 when they had nothing to play for and had all backups in and gave us a challenge. And I think, to be honest with you, we're going to lose this game. Now, it's not going to affect our standings. We're going to end up with the 5th seed. We'll see you in Tampa, and we'll go from there. And maybe my mind will be a little different when we get to Tampa. I don't know. But, Mark, I'm picking a loss this week because right now, Giants are better than Arizona. How can I even and the Giants almost just beat us. If Tyrod plays the whole game, they probably do.
But again, there was 2 big plays that we've talked about that they really shot themselves in the foot because the game shouldn't have even been close. With that being said, I get what you're saying. I actually think they squeak out a win regardless of whether they have a chance at the NFC East or not. But I agree with you. Cowboys are not going to lose again in Week 18 to the Commanders when they have the division on the line. I just don't see it happening. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I've seen crazier things. A Mike McCarthy-led team is just, sending fish to food and getting caught up in a net. It's definitely possible that they, can drop the ball in this, but I think it's too easy for them. But I think the Eagles actually squeak out a win because I think Nick Sirianni's kind of like what you're saying. They need to go out there and they need to have a good game. And I think they're going to take whatever chances it is. And I actually think that they will squeak out a win.
Well, I hope you're right, and I will be all in for that. And this isn't just me just throwing away the season, but I'm just telling you the way I see it. And right now I don't see a lot of positives from this team where I can really back and support them. Are they better than the New York Giants? They are. Will Hurts make some good plays? Will AJ show up? Yeah, I'm there. It's that defense that scares the crap out of me. So we'll see. We will see. We'll see how much the fight the Giants have left too. I think that's a factor. But yes, Cowboys win. Big news coming out of Washington. It looks like Hal will start. Brissett looks like he's still got a hamstring injury. If Brissett played, I thought there was maybe a 5% chance Washington could pull off a miracle. With Hal in there, forget about it. So Cowboys will win the division, get the 2 seed. And that sets up a situation where we're heading to San Fran in week 2.
Yeah, and that's where I think the road ends.
No, it's not going to end pretty either, I don't think. Yeah. Now, obviously, things change from week to week, so we'll get into that when we get there. One of the big things I wanted to talk to you about is week 18 this year looks like it's got some really fun games. In years past, they might have had one that was important. But now we're looking at, we got Buffalo, Miami on Sunday night, almost a winner-take-all scenario. Yeah. I know Miami will still get in, but if Buffalo loses, there is a shot. They don't even make the playoffs. But if they win, they get as high as the 2 seed. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, the AFC is definitely the firecracker league or the firecracker conference this year because of what has been going on with it. And I mean, I think we all thought the Ravens would be good, but I didn't think the Ravens would dominate as much as they are, and they're making it work. But like I've always said, and I really do think the Ravens have a real chance this year. I think the Ravens could be Super Bowl champions, but I haven't seen it in the playoffs from Lamar yet. And that's
it. He's won.
That's what it is. It's all in his hands, and it's gonna sound crazy, but Lamar had a chance. I want to say like 18 or 19 against the Chargers, who were not good, and they lost to the Chargers when they were the 1 or the 2 seed.
Yep.
And I think this was, and it's just like, and I think he had the road to it, and he blew it, and he's blown it a couple times. I feel like they also lost to the Titans at one point.
They did.
And Vrabel coaches them guys up. I totally get that. But Lamar Jackson has had multiple chances to do something, and he's never been able to do anything with it. So until he actually does something and even makes it to the conference finals, I mean, they are the favorite in AFC, but I think there's too many juggernauts.
No, I said they'd never scored more than 20 points with Lamar in the playoffs.
Right. They can do it all they want all season.
Yeah. So we will see. I do have my doubts with them, but they are good. They're really
good. They are very good.
I think the addition of Todd Monken and offensive coordinator has really, added this added dimension to the team. Obviously, bringing in Zay Flowers, OBJ, they
finally got weapons. Yeah, they finally got weapons.
And even like losing Mark Andrews, which is huge. Isaiah Likely's really a good athletic tight end. So I want Baltimore to do well. I still like John Harbaugh. So we'll see. But yeah, the next one. What's that?
I'll tell you who I like. Another AFC North team. It would be so storybook.
Flacco.
I'm wacko for Flacco, baby.
I am too.
No, the story could be insane, and so many people are starting to get onto this bandwagon, and I'm one of those. Like, honestly, I feel like I'm more excited for the possibility, like not actually, but like in the grand scheme of things, just with the way that everything's lining up. If Flacco pulled a Nick Foles and did what he's doing, I honestly have more enthusiasm for what the Browns are doing right now than what we're doing, because it's so lackluster what we're doing. But that's a really fun situation just to watch, just a little nugget, just to watch, just to see what you can do.
So there are not many teams that don't have anything to play for this weekend. They're one of them. So Flacco's going to get the week off.
Right.
They're locked into the 5, I want to say. So it looks like they're going to be heading to the winner of the AFC South. And I think Joey F gets one there, and then he could be headed right to Baltimore.
That would be
insane.
Absolutely insane. And I think Cleveland beat Baltimore in Baltimore this year. Now there was a couple.
It was a wild game.
There was a couple interceptions that Greg Newsome, I remember, returned an interception for a touchdown.
Yes.
It was a wild, it was a
Lamar threw a bunch of picks against the Browns. It was like a 38-35. It was up there, whatever it was.
Seemed like that, right?
Yeah, but that'll be some fun. And then Kansas City locked into the 3, so they're not going to be playing anybody this weekend. Looks like they could get someone like Miami.
Yeah, and I mean that's fun because Kansas City is not. They're not the gunslingers anymore, and because nobody can catch, and Miami is just if their offense gets going, they easily could beat Kansas City easily.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to double check. I'm pretty sure Cleveland. So it's just a weird situation in Cleveland and Miami here, but Cleveland did say they're benching everybody, sitting at 11-5. Yeah. Miami's 11-5. I guess maybe they can't pass Miami. Maybe Cleveland's locked in the 6, but we'll have to check that out. I'm looking at the conference standings. Yeah, they have Cleveland right now locked in the 5. We'll see. It's
because of the amount of wins they have. Because you have
their conference is better.
You have 9 teams that are eligible for the playoffs. Only 4 teams have clinched, and Cleveland being one of them. They're already kind of locked in as the 5 seed because, like you said, Buffalo could go as high as 2, or they could go not in the playoffs at all. The winner, like C said, of Houston and Indy.
Your winner gets in.
That winner gets in, so they're out. Pittsburgh needs to either win or the loser. Jacksonville loses and somebody else loses.
Well, I remember Pittsburgh they needed Buffalo to lose.
Yeah. Jacksonville and Buffalo. If they both lose, Pittsburgh's in.
Yeah, with their win, which they might get. So there is so much crazy. What I was going to ask, like you said, 9 teams in the AFC. In the NFC, technically 11 teams still alive.
Yeah.
Because the
Falcons. I feel like this one's a little more, but the NFC, I think, is a little more said and done.
Well, you get Tampa is in with a win and Green Bay is in with the win. That would lock everything up.
Right.
But if one of those teams loses, it opens up a ton of windows for other people.
Right. New Orleans could win the South.
Yep.
I mean, Minnesota could even sneak in there.
And Seattle still has a prayer.
Right.
So let me ask you this right before we'll do a couple picks quick. But if you had your choice of where the Eagles would head, Tampa, New Orleans, I'm not even considering Atlanta, even though I guess they still could. Tampa or New Orleans, what do you think?
I think New Orleans.
I do too.
Because one, Tampa Bay's played us. They've seen us.
Yeah.
They kind of got embarrassed by us. It was early on in the season. New Orleans, I mean, they're just dysfunction. They don't really have anything going for them. I'm surprised they're even at 8-8. Honestly, there's nothing that they've done this year that has popped off. You look at Tampa Bay. Baker, he's been playing way better than he was at the start of the season. Mike Evans is on fire. They got Chris Godwin back to being, top wide receiver. This last week doesn't count in regards to this past week was not good for them. But for the most part, I would say the last 8 games, Tampa Bay has kind of been a juggernaut on offense, and against our defense doesn't really do anything.
I agree.
New Orleans, it's either your pick your poison of, if Derek Carr were to be unhealthy again, you got Jameis Winston. They really don't have anything going for them besides Alvin Kamara. I think it's better with New Orleans than Tampa Bay, but I do feel somewhat confident going into Tampa Bay.
No, I do too. But the lesser of 2 evils for me, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, or Olave and Rashid Shaheed. I'll take the
and Derek Carr at quarterback because Baker right now is playing way better than Derek Carr. Yeah,
Carr is horrible. Yeah. And by the way, David Carr had a little nonsense to say about Jalen Hurts a few weeks ago.
David Carr's an idiot.
He's an idiot, but
but
the Eagles could really play that little edge too.
Yeah,
going against his brother. So I
maybe
think
if your brother's an idiot, we're about to take you down.
Yeah, little motivation there.
Yeah.
I know Tony will be coming on, I think, later tonight doing the Heat Ratio live show. So we're going to wrap it up here in the next 5 minutes or so. So, Mark, I know it's quick, and you may not have prepared, but let's just knock out a couple quick bets for the people real fast. Talk Sixers, and we'll roll it out. And, with all the important games in our 3-packs, doing pretty well all year. I just wanted, so I'll lead it off. The one game I am looking at, and, I was a Packers fan coming into the season, and they hit their over total. Jordan Love's looked good, but I think this one's going to be tough. I don't know. I'm leaning Bears in this one, so I'm going to take the Bears +3. Bears are playing well to end the season. Even though they can finish 8-9, they can't get in the playoffs. Eberflus might have saved his job. One more win could go a long way in the Justin Fields.
So they've already locked in the number 1 seed.
They have because of the Panthers.
The number 1 pick.
Yep.
So they're like, yeah, we're going to go out there and play. And Justin Fields is like, yeah, I'm going to go earn my job. So they draft Marvin Harrison instead of drafting replacement.
Yep.
Essentially what?
Trade back from 1 to get Harrison at 2 or 3. Yep. So I'm going Bears in this one at +3.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Let me just see. So, you got a couple games that matter. Obviously, we got the Texans, Colts. But, I'm going to touch that. I think that this is where C.J. Stroud makes a name for himself. I think that, I think that the Texans take care of business and they win the AFC South with this game. I think it's a lot of pressure to put on Gardner Minshew to be able to do it.
Yep. No, I agree.
The Houston's been struggling with injuries, but I really think that this is Stroud's time to say, no, I'm a legit quarterback in this league.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, and I'm with you on that one. Another one, let's do a farewell party. As much as we don't think the Saints are great, I think Arthur Smith is a bum. So let's say farewell to Atlanta Falcons. I got the New Orleans Saints -3. We'll put that final nail on Arthur Smith, and he can go, flip burgers for all I care. To be an NFL head coach, that won't come around again for him. Maybe coordinator.
His granddaddy is Mr. FedEx, so he's fine. And they've already said Eric Bieniemy has already been connected to the Falcons.
Yeah, makes sense.
The short list. So the writing's on the wall. And I think the Saints are trying for a playoff spot here. Here's the crazy thing. A lot of people were talking about the Jaguars this year being a juggernaut, which they were, but things have slowed down. There was a press conference the other day with Mike Vrabel, and he got very heated, very spicy, and he's not going to roll over and die for a division rival in the Titans with the Jaguars as a 3.5-point favorite. Titans are fully playing spoiler. And I think that there's been the Jaguar season has been too tumultuous. I think the Titans take care of business here.
I like it. Love the pick.
Win this game outright at home. Don't bet against a home dog. I'm not.
Yep, I love the pick. Hey, I'm going to go with one final one here. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders -2.5 against Denver Broncos. Sean Payton has made a mockery of this thing late in the season. There's no way Jarrett Stidham's better than Russell Wilson, even though I'm not the biggest let Russ cook fan. He's had a serviceable, actually a good, productive year. And they got away with a win last week against Easton Stick. But I think Aiden O'Connell, I think Antonio Pierce coaching for his job here almost. I think he's got a good chance to keep it, but another win will really help that. I think they get it this week and knock the Broncos down another tier.
Well, they've already connected Jim Harbaugh to the Raiders.
They have.
As he would be on the short list. But I'm going to take the Commanders at +13 at home. I think they keep the game close. I think they make the Cowboys scared, and I think it kind of changes the way the Eagles play the game. But I think ultimately the Cowboys end up winning the game. But I like the Commanders at home to cover the points.
All right. The division rivals, a lot of points. But
again, they beat them in last year when the Cowboys had something to do. they played spoiler. I just don't think they do it 2 years in a row, and 13 points is a lot.
All right, Mark, as we roll out of here real quick, let's talk about the Sixers because the stretch that Joel Embiid is on is truly remarkable. He's playing at such a high rate. I think he averaged over 40, over 10 in the month of December, 15 straight games of 30 points or more. He's in rare air with guys like Harden, Kobe. I want to say Wilt was in there.
Wilt was one of them. Yep.
It's really impressive. And, you got to obviously give a lot to Nick Nurse, but getting the beard out of here has freed things up. And this is a more flowing offense. Really looking good. I know Milwaukee snuck one out tonight, but right now the Sixers are pretty much tied with them for second in the East. And I think it's going to be a battle all year for that 2 spot. I think the Sixers are real. I think they're here to stay. Can they get past that second round? I still think they need another piece. For me, it's not Zach LaVine. I just don't think he fits, the unselfish nature that you need. They've built some really good guys here. They need to find a piece. I'm not sure what that piece is yet. I thought it might be OG, but now he's with the Knicks.
Well, I was going to say that was the piece. And there's a lot of talk that maybe he comes here in the summer. The Knicks just kind of make a, they've been mean to get rid of RJ Barrett. And I think they were like, Emmanuel Quickly is a very good player, but he's on our bench. We don't have room on the floor. So we can give Toronto something and hope that we can build some momentum off of OG coming here. But I think there's a lot of smoke around him, OG coming here this year.
The Knicks free up this space. I know they still got this Spider Mitchell thing in the back of their mind. I think he could opt out. Even if they lose out on this, they free up. You get a free agent that you're going to lose.
Right. But OG would be an ideal piece who's unselfish, who knows the system.
Yeah.
Come in. He could be that 3. So then what I've always said, 1-3-5 in Maxey, OG, and Embiid, I think you have a complete team. You can even let Tobias Harris hang here and DeAnthony Melton, and you really got something going. You have a decent bench. You don't have to give anything up. I really don't know. Maybe something else will come out of the woodwork. I don't know. I just don't see what they can do at the trade deadline. That is a huge move. I just don't. I think it's. But the only thing that I fear is that a second round exit doesn't make that a real scenario. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid they second round exit and then the Embiid rumors start. Where if we can just hold on to Embiid this year, we can sign an OG this summer. You have 1-3-5, and I really think that next year is the year. But again, we're kicking the can down the road, so it's a really weird spot to be in. Maybe they figure out something. I agree. I like the athleticism of LaVine, but he's not. He doesn't fit the system.
But if we got one thing we can definitely agree on, and I know we agreed on most of those points there, is that Nick Nurse is here to stay. And I think no matter what, I still think we got 3 good years of Embiid. We'll figure it out. But otherwise, they'll be able to bring something here with the way this guy goes.
Unless they can bring Pascal here somehow.
Yep.
Because then you have a dominant front court. And then you got Maxey and Melton up top. You're good.
Yep. And then maybe grow Springer, and you got some picks back. But we'll see. Right. We will see for sure. But that wraps up Fourth and Go for the first episode of 2024 here with Dave and Mark. The cry for help, I think we feel better ourselves talking about it. We'll see if the Eagles then use that energy that we've seen this week to play better on the field up there in the Meadowlands. We'll be talking about next week, next Thursday here on the Heat Radio Sports Network. But until then, go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. All right.